We're looking at the Watertown, Wisconsin 1st Brigade Band in Ottawa, Illinois, in this August of 1994, playing pre-Civil War music. Welcome to the first of 7 Lincoln-Douglas debates reenacted in this 20th century as we begin coverage that will last for the rest of the summer and early into the fall. And that picture is from the top of the Masonic Lodge here in Ottawa, Illinois, looking down over the park. And the park there in front of you with the band will be the location of the debate that begins here in just about 2 hours. Off to the right, one of the things that wasn't here in 1858 when these debates were first held is the C-SPAN school bus, 45-foot bus that's making its way around the United States, and we'll spend a lot of time here in the next couple months in Illinois. And another addition to this modern-day reenactment. On your screen
gives us context for how the other people had debated at different times. And today, as you know, and as the viewers know, we many times only have a minute or 2 minutes in a presidential debate to respond to each other.
Ottawa, Illinois is about 80 minutes from O'Hare Airport, International Airport in Chicago, 80 miles from downtown Chicago, depending on which way you get here. What kind of a town is it?
Well, it's a town now of about 17,500 people. Back then, the population was somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 people. Canals brought people through. The Ottawa is an Indian for trade. A lot of trading went on in this community back then, and as people will see when they see the debates today, this is when 2 debaters came together and summarized their basic arguments and left the people of Illinois with as much information as they could possibly deliver in 21 hours so they can make their own decision.
We have some photographs. One of them is of 1858 of Washington Square here in Ottawa, and we're going to try to show the difference between then and now. On the screen there is the Washington Square circa 1858, 136 years ago. Do you have any idea what the weather was like then?
Well, the weather on that day was hot, very hot. People had no chairs. The way I understand it, there were fewer shade trees, and so it was a blistering day. And
now on the screen is the shot today. You can see the church behind it there. That's St. Columba Church here in downtown Ottawa. And the band, again, that's the, well, as we said earlier, that's the 1st Brigade Band of Watertown, Wisconsin. They play all over the Midwest, and they normally play Civil War music. In 1858, how far away are we from the Civil War?
Well, we're 3 years from it starting in April of 1861. We're 2 years before Abraham Lincoln gets elected president. Lincoln comes back and tries to deny that he is an abolitionist, and Lincoln says that the real danger is a conspiracy that Douglas is in with 3 other people, Roger and James. And that the conspiracy is to nationalize slavery throughout the United States of America. Douglas comes back and has a very strong rejoinder, again charging Lincoln of being an abolitionist, and charges that Lincoln is a real disunionist because he made the speech that the House would be divided.
I want to show the audience, and they'll be hearing a lot from John Splain as these 7 debates go on, but Dr. Splain has written a book. Our viewer is going to see for the rest of the day. What are all the things going on in the square?
Well, there's a variety of things going on in the square. I think right now people are listening to the 1st Brigade Band, which has been a mainstay of our Lincoln-Douglas debate celebration for the past 2 years. They'll be playing for about a half hour or so, and then after that we'll have our Ottawa's own 46th Illinois Volunteers, a Civil War regiment, laying a wreath at the Civil War Monument, which is just where my background is right now. And then after that, we're going to prepare for the debate reenactment. We're going to gather at the LaSalle County Courthouse at 1:30 to start the parade procession for Lincoln to the square. And then soon after that, Douglas will have his procession out of the Reddick Mansion, approximately about 1:45, and then at 2 o'clock, we're ready to go.
What has to happen on a day like today for this to be a success for this community and you?
Well, we try to involve everybody in the community in this project, and we try to get them to have a sense that this...
Also, here is the 1st Brigade Band of Watertown, Wisconsin, who normally dresses in Civil War costumes and plays Civil War music, but today they're playing pre-Civil War music. I think one of the things I know for me that's interesting is how many operations like this exist in this country that you don't know about until you get into a project like this.
Well, just as we've talked about before, if you just look at the movie Gettysburg, all of those extras are professional, avocational reenactors who reenacted Gettysburg all the time. So they were, they had their own uniforms and equipment, which were very true to the period.
Take a phone call for Harold Holzer, who normally hangs his hat at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, where he runs the communications operation, but also has written a lot of books on Abraham Lincoln and is the author of the unexpurgated text in your bookstores. Silver Spring, Maryland. Go ahead, please.
The crowds of 1858 have tolerated the avoidance of questions that many politicians seem to have now.
No, they wouldn't. They would have spoken back, and I think you had an example of that here at Ottawa. As Dr. Splain said earlier in this broadcast, to see...
Now there's a fine Democrat. I've met him before. Thank you for your support.
I'm going, what did I do with the other one? That was my backup. Oh, good. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. How are you this afternoon?
Mr. Lincoln.
Oh, and how are you? How are you?
Fine. Very good to see you.
How are things here in Ottawa?
Well, I want you to know that it's a safe district. Don't worry about it.
Well, no district is safe until it's in our corner. So let's.
These are a lot of your friends here.
I certainly hope so.
Mayor Glover's been a big help.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you, sir? Good to see you. How's the family?
Hey, excellent, sir.
Nice meeting you, sir. How are you this afternoon? Good to see you, sir. How are you? Ladies, how are you? Good evening, ma'am.
The leader of the 1st Brigade Band somewhere out in the Oakdale Reserve.
I do, Brian. I want to introduce the audience to Dan Wolpert, who is the bandmaster for the 1st Brigade Band, and you are at the first and now the second debates. Is there a historical connection between the 1st Brigade Band and the Lincoln-Douglas debates?
Yes, the 1st Brigade Band, trail of a band from Broadhead, Wisconsin. They were preceded by a Broadhead band that was the Broadhead Town Band or the Broadhead Cornet Band. And they, in fact, were here in Freeport 136 years ago today for the debate.
What about your costume? Is it typical of what the band would have worn?
Yeah, we do not know. We have pictures of the Civil War band, so we know what they wore. But we don't have any pictures of the town band. They may have been in civilian dress. So what we costumed ourselves as today is typical of what a town band might have picked up had they wanted to all look the same as they sat down to play.
You've brought your instrument along. Can you tell us about that?
This is a particularly interesting instrument in that we need to get it out in front of the microphone perhaps. This is an instrument from the Broadhead Town Band and probably was played here 136 years ago today. This is an E-flat tenor horn, string action, rotary valves, and we're very pleased to have this particular antique. All of our instruments are antiques.
How large is the band?
We have about 40 musicians here today, and some assorted additional ladies in costume and gentlemen. We have about 80 people in the band. They're all volunteers, and some can make one job, some can make another. So we have about 50 people here today.
We look forward to hearing your music. Just tell me a little bit very quickly about the kind of music you'll be playing.
We've taken from our repertoire music that would be appropriate prior to the war. We've left out the Civil War songs and things of that sort. In fact, the tune that we're going to open with is very likely one that they would have played here 136 years ago today.
Thanks. You begin in about 20 minutes. We look forward to it.
Begin about 1 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was going to be speaking in Alton, Illinois, on my fourth great-grandfather, Rufus Easton, who was judge of the Louisiana Territory and set some of the first slaves free in the Louisiana Territory in 1805. He founded Alton, Illinois, and he trained Edward Bates. And I'm surprised that Edward Bates doesn't get more credit than he deserves in history for being Lincoln's Attorney General and calling a lot of the legal shots. I wrote an entire book. I spent 8 years on the book on Rufus Easton. It's been accepted into 8 historical societies in the New York Historical Society. And I just thought, since he founded Alton, Illinois, where Elijah P. Lovejoy was murdered, that Lovejoy is another person that doesn't...
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Someone just a little in the spirit of the organization. Mr. Lincoln.
I don't know about that cannon, Senator.
Robert Dick Douglas, known in the community of Greensboro, North Carolina as Dick Douglas, and he was the great-grandson of Stephen A. Douglas. And he is going to have, last count we heard, some 10 descendants. I know the band, did the band quit playing? I can't, the band quit playing? Yeah, I guess it did. We'll, as soon as they start playing, we can listen. Let's listen in.
Arthur DeSoto Church, and Old Dan Tucker.
Professors Juliet Walker and Stephen Oates will be with us here in just a moment to talk about this debate and what they observed. But first, we're going to stop for just a couple of minutes and go back to Washington for this message.
Great unsophistication those days. So I just want to make that comment again that I think Lincoln was very humane, especially when he said, we can't put them on the shores of Africa because they might perish, and end the problem that way. And I think he was a man.
Okay, Carl, I think we got the point. First of all, Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin was written when?
Serialized. And about this, for example, because I have had experience with a daughter who was at Ohio State. I am black in the mid-1980s who took one and only one course in black history because the way the course was taught, it was so distorted that it was not a good course for her to learn and understand and come to appreciate what she could about historical development and to learn that what you wanted it to be in 1858, for example, was not what it was, but to look at how persons did contribute and how over time things have gone. And my final call with him is that he made the statement that blacks don't have full citizenship rights in the United States today, and that is simply not true. Thank you.
I would have to disagree with her on I think he was a great president.
About 2 cases.